Hey, welcome everyone to another edition of Deconversion Stories. And I see what you did there, Mikey. You made your background just blend in anyways. A solution for everything. Welcome to the show, Jackson. It's great to have you here, man.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. Jackson and I got to hang out again this last Faithless Forum. Before we get going into it, what'd you think of it, man? The whole thing.
I had a blast. I had a really fun time meeting lots of people, some people who were aware of my channel, getting to meet other content creators. It was very fun. I enjoyed it immensely.
Right on. Mr. Prophet of Zod has popped into the chat as well to say hey.
Oh, we got to meet that guy.
Oh yeah. He's was at the last. Well, I think he's on the board anyway, so he's at the last two that I was at anyway. But it was great.
2019, yeah.
Yep, that's right. That's where I first actually met you in person.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really cool, and the fact that Erica was there, I should have told her that I had you on the show tonight, and she may have been able to pop in. That would have been pretty cool.
That would have been pretty cool.
Message her, because Jackson, Erica, and myself split some pizzas while we were there at the bar, and they made really decent pizza actually for like a hotel type thing.
It was pretty good. It was a very good atmosphere, good food. So yeah, I had a blast.
Awesome. Anyway, let's get on to this. Jackson, you know what I do here? I chat with people about whatever religion they were once a part of and how they found their way out of it, or belief system, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'd like to talk to you about today. I want to get into. You notice I had yours.
That was my seahorse, yeah.
Yeah, your seahorse banner there in the background there. Woohoo! Mike's just screwing around. We're trying to develop some new sort of layouts and stuff, so just to ignore him.
I was like, oh, I'll just hit this. That'll be fine. Fucking seahorses. All right. I'm not pushing nothing else.
Just leave it alone. You're good.
No touchy.
As you guys know, this down below me is Mikey, my producer extraordinaire, who now will be a solid part of the show from here on out as well, because I enjoyed having him in all the other times that he was able to do it. So, yeah, absolutely. He gets to be a part of the action now. And hello, Derek Cruz. Anyway, Anne-Marie, I see you there too. So, first and foremost, how long were you in a belief system, Jackson?
Well, that's sort of the thing, and that's something that I have thought about, because as I kind of mentioned when in the first panel that I was on at the Faithless Forum, I didn't come from any sort of fundamentalism or anything like that. Mine was relatively liberal Christianity, Methodism to be more specific, which doesn't have any tenets of fundamentalism or hating gays or anything like that. So really when I was about somewhere between 10 and 11, and I really began to think about the religion that I was in, and then I found out there were people who are not religious, and it was about that time that I found out that it was possible to not be religious, and sort of from then on, I have been an atheist. So that's what 11 or it's like 12, 13 years ago, something like that. So yeah.
Like with your family, did you guys ever like pop into church at all and sit through any of that sermons or anything like that?
Oh yeah. We went to church pretty much every Sunday. Little place not too far from here, but yeah, I mean, I didn't mind it at the time. I think I was still in the phase where like you could take me anywhere, make me sit somewhere, and just do what they ask, but I haven't done that in a long time, and I don't have any feelings that tie me to that place really, or to the belief system at all really. And I really don't see any reason to believe in any deities now. So
yeah, well, of course not. Should have had a question. Oh yeah. So do you think maybe you know how you say you guys weren't really fundamentalists at all or whatever, and not like overly religious, but you did the church thing, because that's what I did growing up. As a Jewish kid, we did the synagogue. We did every Friday night. But for us, it was more like just getting to see the neighbors and the social gathering and stuff like that. We just kind of sang all the songs and la la la, and then we all ate all the wicked food that came afterwards.
Right.
And that was the first time I ever tried actual coffee, I think, was at synagogue. And of course, my mother's like, don't drink too much. And of course, I had like 3 cups with like half of it was sugar and the other half was coffee.
Oh, my goodness.
Bouncing off the walls like Ricochet fucking rabbit. So, which was a lot of fun. Did you guys have something similar, like after church and stuff like that? Was there food served and everyone kind of mingled and whatnot?
Not at the church that my parents went to. At my grandmother's, yes, they have big Sunday afternoon, lunches and stuff like that. But at the one that my parents went to was really just like they have like muffins and hot chocolate, coffee, that sort of stuff. So nothing really big because it was relatively early in the morning. So, but yeah, you're right. It was a lot of that. Sorry, go ahead.
Which denomination was that church?
Methodist.
Okay. Methodists are pretty tame for all that stuff. But
yes.
You're like, I went to a Southern Baptist. I'm like, and they didn't shove like 5 pounds of cornbread in your face before you left. Like, it was possible.
Like, well, we were Methodist, and then right across the street from us was like a Unitarian Universalist, which is even less religious than Methodist is. So
yeah, that's the hashtag coins where you take a drink now. I kind of had one beforehand, but yeah, you notice how it kind of moves the whole thing when you do that.
There we go.
How'd you fix that?
I got my ways, man.
He's magic.
All right. Yeah, that's why I pay him the big bucks.
It was perfectly timed.
So yeah, I think one of the things that I liked about going to those sorts of services was the whole thing that came afterwards. And of course, and seeing my friends but I also did Hebrew school too, where you learn about the Old Testament and shit like that. Get prepared for your bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah if you're a girl. But now, once you decided that you weren't going to be like a Christian anymore, like did your family take it hard, or did they sort of like just say, "Oh, whatever"?
So I was, I don't know. This may sound weird given the backstory that I just did, but I was very nervous about telling them, so I kept it to myself.
Okay.
For years, yeah. It's just something I did not broach with them. And even still, I don't really talk about it with them. That's kind of why I do stuff like this, because even the people in my life who are non-religious, which is like most of the people, nobody just really talks about it. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just sort of a thing everyone just kind of acknowledges, but
that's about
we
all.
Don't really talk about it.
Really is, unless we're intentionally meaning to speak about it, about atheism and non-religious stuff. But yeah, for the most part, that's what I always think. It's funny. We're going to get into a little bit more of this in a bit here, and let me just readjust this fucking thing. I always think it's funny when on Twitter or something, but mind you, I understand on Twitter because my whole thing is Neil the 604 Atheist, right? So it's right there in the title. But I always found it kind of funny where they always go, well, all you guys ever talk about is your atheism and your lack of belief in God and all that shit. And I'm like, no. Look at my timeline. I post a bunch of hilarious stuff on there that's totally not even related. But
it's mostly comic books, let's be honest.
Yeah, mostly comic books.
I culture. Post a lot of stuff about biology or evolution. If you look up sometimes about politics, but yeah, if you look at most of my stuff, it's evolution related or fish related or something like that. Because I did it today. I was thinking about it today because I was thinking about some of the questions you might potentially ask, and so I did post something today about atheism. But yeah, normally no. It's what was most of the time. What is there to talk about? Right? We don't believe. Okay,
It's odd. So basically, evolution is your religion.
Absolutely. Yep. I mean, look what I'm wearing. I'm wearing the first phylogenetic tree that Darwin drew. So here I am.
There you go. Yeah. Really? That's awesome.
He scribbled it in his notebook. Oops, wrong way. With the words "I think" right next to it. Actually, Erica wore this shirt not this specific shirt, but she wore one with this design on it at the Faithless Forum. So
I was going to say, you stole Erica's shirt? What the hell, dude?
I nabbed it. I was wearing, all my shirts had like fish on them. I wore like the one I think the picture I'm in with you has like the shark on it, and I wore my paddlefish shirt. So yeah.
yeah, I saw that one. Oh wow, look at this already. Questions. Was Jackson familiar with the Wesleyan theology, or was it all just church culture thingy?
You got me on that one. I don't know what that means.
It's a new one on me.
If you could break it into like, what does that mean? Maybe I don't know.
Explain, P.
Yes, please do.
Wesleyan
theology.
Wesleyan Theological Society. Oh boy, let me open up a fucking private tab for this.
Oh god.
Why is it that bad?
I don't want them like, now I'm gonna get emails, like you gotta be careful, just looking at their site, like, oh, you're one of us. It's like, not so much, bro. Not so much.
What does it look like?
I don't know. There's nothing on the page. It's just words, and that makes me worried.
Stuff in the mail like this.
Bum, bum, bum.
Oh, weird.
This is from the Baptist church somewhere around here, and they're trying to get Canada to keep God in the national anthem and all that shit.
You guys are
added.
You guys are a lot more secular than the U.S. is. So.
Yeah.
So good luck with that, I guess.
Yeah, no, it won't happen. I mean, they still have it in the national anthem,
right?
But I don't think they're going to add the extra verses that these guys want added.
Are you familiar with like the Pledge of Allegiance in the United States?
Yes. Yeah.
And so, are you familiar with like there's a tidbit that was added that's like one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are you familiar with the history behind that little addition?
Yeah, that came like around the same time as the "In God We Trust" on the money.
Yep,
right, back in the 50s or whatever, because of the
godless communists. Yeah, exactly.
Russians. They're gonna get us. We need God on our money and in our bullshit.
Same time as a Confederate flag as well.
Yeah, that was also something that's funny. It's like if you ask people when do you think a lot of these Confederate monuments were built, it was not the 1800s, it was the 1960s. So
yeah,
that's right.
During the height of the civil rights movement, it was like no rights.
Yeah, it's pretty terrible, and we still have a bunch here. So
yeah, humans, what are you gonna do? Can we? You know what I was thinking?
Some ideas.
Let's not go crazy here, Mikey. I was kind of having an idea that I was going to run past you, actually, Jackson. It's like, we could take some of these morons, which I have no problem calling them morons, and can we de-evolve them? Can we put them back into primates? Is that possible? Could just make them, so they can run around, throw shit at each other?
To monkey?
Yeah. Can we do that?
Look, I wish, honestly. Because some of them are running, the school board or the state legislation, etc. So,
yeah, they're in places they shouldn't be. Is what's going on, or they're flexing their religious muscle in places they shouldn't be. Is more accurate, I think, because they got every right to run for whatever they want as long as they keep the fucking bullshit out of it, right? Yeah,
that's kind of the problem here. Is if you have your options are like the liberal and you don't want the liberal, or the conservative option who is not going to raise taxes, they're not going to make you jump through more hoops to do whatever it is, but they're a creationist. They think Trump is going to run or is going to win presidency again and all that sort of stuff. So it's like those are your only options, and they don't want the liberal, but they're willing to overlook everything about the conservative simply because he's not going to raise taxes, or something like that. It's ridiculous. Yeah. It's absolutely ludicrous.
Can I raise your taxes $1 and give you health care? No raising taxes. It's like, but you pay thousands of dollars for medical care. Just pay the $1. It's cheaper.
Yeah. No, you're trying to get. No, they won't listen to reason on that. So, anyway.
I also found it on Wikipedia here. Wesleyan theology, otherwise known as Wesleyan Arminian theology or Methodist theology, is a theological tradition in the Protestant Christianity based upon the 18th century evangelical reformer brothers John Wesley and Charles Wesley. More broadly refers to the theological systems inferred from the various sermons. Example given, the 44 sermons, theological treatises, letters, journals, diaries, hymns. So it's like a sub Methodist where they just like have the Wachowski siblings and they just go by them.
Oh, okay. Well, no, I wasn't ever familiar with any of that. I mean, it all seemed, it was very, the church itself, and I was like very, I don't know, kind of milquetoast. They were just like, here's your moral lesson. Here's a biblical story. Here's a moral lesson you can draw from that. You can apply it in your daily life. Be good to people, spay and neuter your pets, whatever, go home. And so, it didn't seem like they weren't saying things like, watch out for them gays or whoever. No, there was never anything like that.
The Reverend Bob Barker would never say that.
Reverend Bob Barker. What?
That's very new to your pets. That's what Bob Barker. That's what he would say at the end of all the
Yeah.
Oh shit! So okay, so let's. All right, so that was a pretty quick deconversion story. I mean, you basically lost interest in it at a fairly young age. Do you remember sitting there and hearing some of the stuff that they would talk about at all, and thinking to yourself, "This can't possibly be true"? Like, do you ever remember thinking anything like that, or?
I don't know. I mean, some of the stuff was like I was still taken to church even after I stopped believing, and a lot of it was like, I don't believe there were actually demons. People were actually fighting these demons, or Jesus actually did these miracles, or what have you. Since then I've watched videos about the resurrection of Jesus and why even if he's real and follows all these other or falls into these other categories, whatever, then it still wouldn't happen this way. It's like, even if we grant all this other stuff, this just wouldn't happen. And to reference the tweet that I made earlier, it's kind of silly, broad scale, to think about if you accept that the earth is billions of years old, that God creates the universe, just sets everything in motion, whatever. Then 14 billion years later comes along and says, hey, tribe in this desert land, it's your lucky day. I'm going to sponsor you and your warriors for the next couple hundred years, and then I'm going to screw off again. And so, yeah, it's broad scale. It's kind of ridiculous, and it's much more likely, it seems to me, that these were a collection of different oral traditions that people passed on in their different tribes from one to another, or different kingdoms from one to another, rather than these are divinely inspired words. So
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, I don't know. There's not much more I can say on that, really. Holy crap! Somebody just popped into the chat that I haven't seen in I don't know how long. Staggerson Jags has popped in. Stags, good to see you, brother.
Oh yeah, I remember
Staggy? He's back, kind of like herpes.
So we never left. Got it.
Yeah. So
joins,
it's just always been there in the background.
Joins a chat just to get compared to herpes.
Staggy, it's all right, buddy. I love you.
Whoopsie,
But anyway,
years.
Yeah, I'll be back in 2 years. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about, and I couldn't it's here somewhere. I know it is. It's actually, every time I turn around, I think it moves a little bit, so I can't fucking find it.
Mm-hmm.
But you and Mr. Downard wrote a book.
We did.
Called The Rocks Were There.
Volume 1.
Volume 1.
Yeah.
Volume 1, he says, and this thing's already like the size of a fucking phone book. All right.
Yes.
Like, it's huge. But
yeah,
sorry. I was just going to quickly say,
oh, no, go ahead.
What I flipped through it already is amazing. And you guys make it so easy to understand too, which, for somebody that doesn't know a lot about the science behind evolution, it's fairly easy to follow. Mind
Well, we're
you,
glad
I
to
have a
hear that.
little bit of chemistry in there, but but it was fairly easy to follow for me.
Yeah, well, we're glad to hear that. I mean, that's what you strive for with science communication is you don't want something that's impenetrable to your audience.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's very large because we cover a lot of the major objections. Of course, you can't cover every single argument creationists have, but we cover a lot of the major arguments and objections that creationists have to the evidence for evolution. And so with their favorite arguments for the flood, that sort of stuff. And there's going to be a whole big section on that in the second volume. We're going to do a whole chapter on the flood legends, all that sort of stuff.
Awesome.
But yeah, this first one we talk about the nature of science, because I'm sure you guys have heard the we all agree on observational science, but we disagree on historical science. From
whatever that fucking means.
Yeah, and that's like Ken Ham's favorite phrase, and of course that occupies chapter 1. So we talk about a bit about epistemology of science, like fossil predictions, things like that. Then we talk about chapter 2 is radiometric dating. So we tick off a lot of the major arguments that they use about radiometric dating, like, they carbon dated a seal that had been dead for 5 hours and it was 10,000 years old. Like, well, that's absolutely not how you use carbon dating.
Right.
So yeah, of course it's going to be wrong.
I'm using my yardstick as a level. So that's right. I can just grab a tool and just use it however I want because it's a tool and it just does whatever I use it for.
Yeah, I was trying to use this hammer as a sponge to clean my fine china, and it didn't work. I don't understand.
Clearly, these are not tools.
I tried to use this as a waterbed, but it really wasn't comfortable.
Yeah,
yeah, it's just
straw kept poking me.
It's really funny, like how wrong they will do it. They will make it as wrong as possible, and then they'll proudly proclaim, "Look, it didn't work. You got us. It didn't work." I mean, there are programs you have to use for various things in like when you're dealing with like biotech or technology, whatever. And if you do something wrong, something super minor somewhere, it just everything screws up. Absolutely,
right.
Just top to bottom, everything is screwed up because you left a semicolon out on one line of code, or you didn't calibrate your machine correctly, or what have you. Right. These are extremely fine-tuned instruments, right?
Yes.
And they're just like, look, I just threw something in there and it didn't work. Well, yeah, that's how that's going to work. You screwed it up.
Idiots. Congratulations, you got it wrong.
You may need a new machine now. So, yeah, and it's just bonkers. And so then chapter 3 is sort of a broad look at how evolution works. Chapter 4 is genetics. So we talk about an argument that's really making headway among creation circles right now, and that's John Sanford's genetic entropy argument.
Right. Yes, that's a fairly recent thing too.
Yeah, well, sort of. It's a rebranding. It's a new coat of paint on something that's been kicking around in creation circles for the past 80 years. And I know because I have a creationist book that from like
it's
way
80
back.
years old.
Yeah, and it makes the same arguments. It's the same like word for word stuff that Sanford would say, but it's almost, but it's minus the more informed genetic stuff, because obviously the genetics research or data back then wasn't as good. And so it's these guys who sound really smart. They're using data to push this frankly abysmally bad argument.
Well, I always find the problem with their science is they start top down. They don't follow the evidence. They make the evidence fit what they want.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
You're right.
It's backwards.
Yes. Yeah. So like when you look at these older creationist works, and they're talking about everything is degrading, the genes are degrading. Well, how would you have known that back in the 50s or 60s? How would you have known that genes are undergoing degradation? Doesn't make any sense. But of course, they claimed that before they even had the data. And now we have data, and now that we definitely know genes are not degrading, they have to twist it and work it in some way to make it sort of look like they kind of are. And so that's what Sanford tried to do with the H1N1 virus. He tried to make it look. He tried to equate the ability of the virus to spread very well with the death toll, which does. That's not the same thing. So
cleaning China with a hammer again.
Yeah, exactly. And so cleaning China with a hammer. Yeah. And so, as someone who is a geneticist, which he is, he definitely knows that, but he doesn't care because he's got conclusion
Jesus.
First. Yep.
Yeah.
Chapter 5 is my favorite chapter. That's where we talk about baraminology, the kinds. So that was a really fun chapter to write.
Okay, who came up with that first? Who came up with the whole kinds idea?
Well,
it says it in the Bible, so I guess they came up with it like 2,000 odd years ago.
Well, I mean, baraminology is a refinement. Again, it's a new coat of paint on something that's been around for a while.
Mhm.
Because phylogenetics started coming out in the 70s into the 80s. Because you have sort of the foundations of phylogenetics laid out in sort of the 60s, and then you have gene sequencing and this other stuff, and this is starting to come into its own in the 70s and 80s. And so creationists are starting to see that we can group organisms. I mean, of course, we could already group organisms by like morphology and embryology, but now we have the genes. We can do this with genetics and
be more accurate.
Yes, and be much more accurate. And so creationists kind of wanted to have their own version where they can show, all right, here we have this group is related by common descent, but not to this other group. And they're looking for whatever the reason is. Of course, there is no reason to believe that. They all share common ancestry. There's no essence, the sort of a Platonic essentialism that doesn't exist for organisms. There's nothing about the DNA of a zebra that is inherently different from our DNA or an oak tree or a bacterium. It's all the same. It's just nucleotides in a particular sequence. It's the sequence that is the same, not the molecules that make it up, right? And we know this because you can generate sequences in the laboratory to make particular proteins and stuff. So we know there's nothing inherent to it that's different, and so that's why baraminology fails so abysmally. Then,
why do you think they keep using these arguments if they've been demolished time and time again?
Well, I guess it depends on the person. Some people might use them because they just didn't know any better. If you're a person sitting in the pews listening to a Kent Hovind lecture, odds are pretty good you probably never looked into this for yourself.
Let's hope it never happens to me.
Lose a bet.
Right.
I'd bring shit to throw at him.
That'd probably be for the best. Yeah, I don't know if he's like allowed to leave his compound anymore.
Oh yeah, that's true.
How many laws he's broken? But yeah. So if you're a person and your whole life has been, for 20 odd years, just listening to what the elders in your group, the pastors, whatever, preachers have told you, and what your parents have told you, and what everybody around you affirms is all the same thing, well, you're probably not going to be too interested to like look up the data for yourself. And so if some charismatic preacher or whatever says this is the truth, you're probably going to be like, okay, they sound like they know what they're talking about. And so I can't really fault that person other than like once you introduce them to the actual data, and if they're still resistant, then I'll say, okay, bye-bye. But then again, if it's a con man like Kent Hovind or Ken Ham or whoever else, which
Ray Comfort,
I do think, or Ray Comfort. I want to say for the record, I do think all of them are actually creationists. I don't think they're all just doing it for money. I think money may be a large part of it, especially in Kent Hovind and Ken Ham's case.
Hams, yeah.
But like Ray Comfort, I don't think he's living it up like either of them. He's just doing this because he really believes it, as dumb as it is. But Yeah, I have no reason to call them like they're a liar or whatever. They're
What's
not just
up,
trying to
Poe?
right. Yeah, they're not just trying to swindle people or whatever. Even though that may be part of it, but
I think when I think of a preacher type, evangelical preacher type that's a liar, I would put someone like Popoff in that position because he's
Peter
basically
Popoff?
Peter Popoff.
that sounds familiar. But I'm not. I don't know
He's
the
the guy
person.
that could tell. I have a Wendy Johnson in the audience, and her grandmother just passed away, and yada yada.
Oh,
and
because he had
that guy.
the
thing in his ear that
Yeah,
James
yeah,
Randi
yeah. That's
busted,
right.
right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so he disappeared for a long time. Then he came back again, and people were like, "Oh, he's doing it again." And I guess we have to believe him because, like, what the fuck, man? He got busted doing it. Like, how can you fall for this now?
Because they came out with Bluetooth. He's like, that's way better than radio. That's way better. He's just sitting there with an AirPod in there. Just is like, come on, man. We see the AirPod, man. Give it up. We know.
Yeah, that's right. Him and oh yeah, I watched a couple of those James Randi videos. The one with the dude who's like trying to move the paper with his mind, but he's like blowing it.
Oh yeah.
It's like
the phone book.
Yeah, yeah. That dude like went to jail for something or other immediately after that. I can't remember what his name was, but yeah, I remember a couple of those. Those were pretty funny.
Show?
Randy busted everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it was on somebody's like talk show, like a late night talk show or something.
Yeah.
Did Randy have his own? James Randi, did he have his own show?
No, I don't recall him having his own show, but I recall him being a popular guest around like in the 70s and early 80s, where he'd come on to lots of different types of talk shows, early morning, late night, you name it. And he would be talking about all kinds of shit that he's busted, especially that Uri Geller, I should say.
Yeah.
With the spoon bender.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's funny. James Heydrich. Yes. That's
James
Heydrich.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I remember Geller, they had a special on. This is back when I believed in that kind of horse crap. But he said, yeah, put your watch on top of the TV and I'll make all your watches start running again if it's a broken watch or something. So, of course, I did it. I'm like, oh, yeah, he's going to fix my swatch. So I put it on top of the TV and nothing happened.
And then a little hand came out of the TV and took the watch.
I can do that.
Probably that wouldn't surprise me because I recently found out that exact swatch that I had when I was a kid. Well, not a kid. I was in my 20s. It's worth over $200 now.
That
it's
OG
like,
classic.
What? I paid like
swatch.
$40 for it. Yeah, it's an OG.
Man.
It had green straps, a little red and blue main body with a comet that went through it. Like it looks like a comet.
Classic.
Fucking thing's worth the money now. It's like I found it on eBay. I'm like, holy shit! What the fuck? I gotta find it, and I'm gonna put mine on eBay.
Yeah,
I got a couple of swatches. I bet you they're both worth a little bit of money. Those are popular again.
No, I just got my Mickey Mouse. The hands.
Oh, yeah. Classic. Come on, Jackson. That's a classic shit right there.
Yeah.
I always wanted the watch with the calculator in it.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I always wanted that thing.
We weren't allowed to bring them in school. You weren't allowed to have them in school.
Right. And I was like, I'll get one. And that way I can use it on my test for multiplication.
Yeah, just over there like.
Yeah. Like that's not obvious as fuck, though.
Yeah,
the thing is you couldn't use your finger because it's too big. So you had to use your pencil tip. And you're just like, why are you poking yourself?
I have self-worth issues. Look away.
Self-worth issues.
Don't look directly at me.
So, Jackson, if you had to think back of all the different arguments that you've heard from creationists, or as they call it with the new moniker, intelligent design, not so fucking intelligent, but what would you say is your favorite argument, the one that makes you laugh the most?
Oh man.
From them, I mean. Not
You
from
should
me.
have like sent me this like several hours ago. I could have like thought about it for a while.
Okay, give me a few then. Like, what are the ones that you
my
always kind of
favorite-
shake your head at?
Top 5.
Well, every time I hear the word kinds, I have conniption fits. Every time, even in like normal conversation, like I have a different kind of watch. I'm like, because it's just because of baraminology.
Make it
Yeah,
stop.
I think anything having to do with like baraminology is just the absolute bane of my existence, because phylogenetics, zoology, that's what I have my bachelor's is in organismal biology, which zoology, whatever. And I'm working on my master's in it currently. And so to just hear the flippant, like, oh, they're just in different kinds. I'm like, no, stop.
You don't get to just say that.
You think you can just say things? I mean, yeah, it's just so bad because, and the arguments that they use to justify kinds are the worst. They are terrible. Like the freaking crocoduck. That's an argument for kinds. And the funny thing, or the sad thing, either way, is RJ and I discussed that in chapter 5, because Bodie Hodge and Georgia Purdom, who are both AIG lackeys.
Yep. They fucking make me laugh every time.
Yeah, God, it's so awkward watching them interact with Ken Ham. It's just all three of them, because he's like, I feel like he's a really mean person. Like, you know, behind the scenes, you can kind of see that because whenever he makes a joke, they're both kind of like, you know. But
that's true.
But so Bodie he has like a degree. I think he's like an engineer, something like that. But he writes a lot of stuff on history, which doesn't have a lot to do with engineering. And then Purdom is an actual geneticist. She did her research on, like, I think it was cancer genetics, something like that, back, you know, for her doctoral degree. And then they wrote an article together defending the kinds idea. And I don't know if just Bodie wrote it and then Georgia said, you know, sounds good, whatever, because they make the argument in it that because there are no crosses between dogs and cats in the fossil record, dogs and cats do not share a common ancestor. Because that's how common ancestry works.
Yeah.
You have to hybridize with everything to demonstrate common ancestry.
That's right. That's why we got flying frogs and
turtle doves.
Yep. Turtle doves. Yeah. Turtle doves.
Yeah.
I think the crocoduck one is the funniest.
Yeah. It's just
an
so bad.
elefino where they cross a rhinoceros with an elephant.
Hey, there are no pine tree elephant hybrids. You know? So, but yeah, it's just so bad. And then they have to be.
They poop pine cones?
Could. They certainly could. They have to be like really dishonest. Oh, well, before I get to that, I'll say there is an argument made by the creationists called the cognitum. And if you read chapter 5,
what does that mean?
So the cognitum almost literally means you eyeball it.
Oh, okay.
If you eyeball an organism and it looks different enough from this other one, they're in different kinds.
Wow. So are all the dogs different kinds then? Because, you know, you eyeball a Chihuahua against a Mastiff and they look like two totally different things.
Well, see, the funny thing is about that is in my more heretical moments would say, well, aren't they two different species then? I mean, if you look at them, and I mean more in sort of a serious sense, these two are never going to interbreed.
Yeah,
they're at these two completely opposite ends of a morphological spectrum, and they are never going to interbreed with each other under pretty much any conditions. So unless, like, you know, one is forcibly inseminated, and so they're pretty much two different species. So whatever. Anyway, it takes off heresy hat. But I've got a bunch of others like that. If you get me talking about the species concept, I'll start making everybody angry. But anyway, but yeah, so they have really bad arguments. The cognitive, like, for instance, one of our favorite quotes, or at least it's my favorite quote, is Jean Leitner, who's also a creationist, says in an article she did on mammalian kinds, we broke Bovidae into the subfamilies, because normally it's the family is the kind level, which also doesn't mean anything. But
right.
But she says we broke Bovidae into multiple subfamilies because people tend to think of goats and cows as being separate kinds. So I guess it's, if you vote, it's, you know, kind by vote, I guess. So no evidence, no data, no morphology, embryology, genetics. No, screw all that. It's just kind of looks different. So
Must be different.
Must be different. I mean, seriously, they did like was it Antilopinae and Capernae and Bovinae, and they were just like, yep, they're all separate because people think of them as different. Like,
Well, there you go.
There you go. There you have
works. Fuck's sakes.
Science.
Yeah, Mr. White, science.
Science, bitch.
Yeah, and so I think kinds is anything having to do with that is terrible. Especially when you start getting into like how are humans separate from the other apes and the other primates, then it gets super dishonest because they have to do these really wild like RJ calls it xenoslicing. You have to like present every data set as separate from every other one, or else if you put them together, people will start to realize, oh, there's like a continuum here and there are no clear lines to draw, but they can't do that. So everything has to look separate.
Well, it would screw them right up.
Yeah, exactly. And so when they do, that's why they push so hard for like the chromosome 2 argument. Like, no, there's no fusion event in chromosome 2, even though like all of the geneticists agree that there is, and it's really easy to show that there was. Because you have and
that's from like chimpanzees and stuff to humans.
Yeah. So like all the other great apes have 48 chromosomes in their diploid genome, but we have 46. And the reason is two chromosomes fused end to end, and that's our chromosome 2 now. And so there's one of the really good ways you can show is that, for one thing, there's a crap load of telomeric sequences in the middle of a chromosome arm. That's weird. But also there is a telomere specific pseudogene family called DDX11, and DDX11L2, which is one of those, is right smack dab in the middle of the arm, right next to that supposed telomere region. So, that's weird too. Whatever. Anyway, yeah,
nothing to see here. Nothing to see.
Yeah,
here.
nothing to see here. So they have to push really hard for that, and they Jeffrey Tompkins is their point man on that. And he does hilariously erroneous and borderline just straight up dishonest arguments. And so yeah.
Now, for you guys that don't know what a telomere is, when you see the little chromosomes, they're right on the ends, correct?
Yeah. So your telomeres are your end bits. It's like a 6 nucleotide sequence, which is basically repeat. And so it's kind of like, if you think of like shipping, you're like shipping something. It's kind of like the packing peanuts. You have like your thing that you're shipping that's in there. Those are your genes, and your telomeres are like your packing peanuts. Think of it kind of like that.
Yeah, they kind of do look like that too. You got your centromere and then the telomeres, right? So,
yeah, your centromere is your middle portion. Yeah,
right.
And so
if I can find a picture.
Really bad arguments, borderline dishonest arguments, and so
there you go, folks. Right there. See,
yes,
telomeres right there.
Yeah,
just so you know. And
just so you know.
Knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe.
If you think about it, hey, you know what they say? Knowledge is power, but power leads to corruption. So no knowledge, smooth brain.
Wait, are you trying to say we're all corrupt now? Is that what you're trying to say, Jackson? We're all corrupt?
It follows, knowledge is power. Power leads to corruption. So
no, power can lead to corruption. Look at Superman.
He's corrupt.
I mean,
as fuck.
Sure, he went off he went off his rock. He's not corrupt.
Hell yeah,
he did go corrupt for a bit there, but
people just have their own idea of how to implement their system of government, and boom, laser eyes, cuts them in half. It's corrupt. It's too strong. He's like Homelander.
What? Also a good
more
show.
Fans. Hi, Faye.
Hello, Faye.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I try. But yeah.
Well, I mentioned your name, and people know who you are, Jackson. Trust me.
Oh,
people know who you are.
I appreciate that. I was as I was well, in the one in the Faithless forum back in 2019, I had several people come up who were like, "Hey, I watched your channel," and I was like, "Oh, cool," people watch my channel. What? But this time it was Erica. Like everybody was swarming Erica because she's great to talk to. She's super
totally.
knowledgeable, and she
And
distills
she's personable
information.
too.
Yes, she's very personable. She distills information very well, very readily, and so yeah, she's a great person to talk to.
I have sent her a message, by the way, letting her, because she liked the deconversion story thing that pops up on Twitter. So I did send her a DM inviting her to jump in the after party. I haven't received a reply yet, but
She doesn't always check her DMs. I can kick her to look at it.
yeah, that'd be a good idea.
Yeah.
Just tell her I
Yeah.
sent her one, and she's welcome to jump in for a little bit for the after party.
Yeah.
Well, we still got time, so before we do that, what was probably your favorite part of the book that you got to work on?
The royalties.
You're right, corruption.
Yeah. I did it to myself. Whoops.
Yeah.
Just like I said before, corrupt. Superman Part 2 over here.
Did you let RJ know you were on tonight, or?
Yes. Yeah. It's in our chat. Yeah. So
Okay.
I was like, I told everybody in there I'm going to be on in 30. Yeah. So I did tell them that. We have a Canadian guy in our group. A bunch of the people I talked to were on. We like him. They're like migrated from Reddit. And so sorry, Canada. Yeah. Trademark. Yeah. Copyright. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, doing a lot of the research for it, like chapter 3 was fun to write. Chapter 5, chapter 6. I mean, they were all fun. They're all fine to write. We're working on volume 2 right now, and there's some stuff that I'm slogging through because it's a lot. I mean, we're gonna have some pretty darn comprehensive rebuttals of some stuff that I'm tired of seeing. And after we finish this, I'm just gonna say, you want my opinion on this? Here's a book.
Read the fucking book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chapter 3. Here you go. Because for one thing, we're going to do a deep dive of the intelligent design Cambrian explosion arguments.
Oh shit!
I've written so much about the Cambrian. First, not only on my own channel, Aaron Raw also used one of my videos on the Cambrian explosion on his channel, and so and I have something else coming up on someone else's channel. So I'm so tired of hearing it. I'm so tired of being like, here in 40 points is why you're wrong. Here's why you got absolutely everything you said about this wrong. That's that. I guess that's another one. That like, there's some. Oh, what was it? I was in a debate once, and the person I was debating mentioned the Cameron explosion, and the people in the chat were like, "Oh no, he mentioned the Cameron."
By the way, I did let Aaron know you're on the show tonight. He says he's engaged in something right now. But I said, well, just keep it in mind. If you got time, just pop in and say, hey. So he probably will end up doing it, I imagine.
Okay. Heck yeah. I enjoy. I talked to Aaron a couple of times at the thing.
When he dressed up as the pirate, that was funny.
Yeah, he dressed up as a pirate. I don't know what that was about, but he did it. Yeah.
He even had the saber with him and everything, like the fucking sword he had that there. It's like, holy shit, dude.
Yeah, we came out of the thing at one point, and I'm just like, is that Aaron in a pirate suit?
But see, Aaron wasn't the only one that was dressed up. I think you guys just wanted to have your own Comic-Con, and you used your atheism as a vehicle to get you guys there. So you guys could just dress up and con it up, which is cool. I just didn't know that that's what it was.
Fair enough. I mean, what is it?
Totally not
Zod.
true,
like spoken tongues. That was a thing that happened. So
that I cracked up when I heard that.
I
'Cause
can't.
he's so fucking good at it.
I was like trying to as Thomas was up there like looking for people, and I was like, oh no, he's calling audience up, and I was kind of doing this, and he was like Jackson Wheat, and I went, oh Frank. But yeah, he got me. And Erica was like, good luck.
Okay, Ollie. Ollie's like, I got to get caught up, so he's been hitting me with the messages so that the coins go off.
I did really enjoy Faithless Form. I did have a great time. I also enjoyed. This was the first time I'd ever spoken on a panel at any sort of event. I mean, it's only the second time I've ever actually been at an atheist event, but this was the first time I'd ever, spoken at something, and it was an experience. I was very nervous at first, but in this, there were a couple of us like eating beforehand, and they like, and I was just like
eating.
Yeah, I was just like before the thing on Friday. Yeah, I ate.
You guys
everything.
did great up there, so you had nothing to be nervous about.
I really feel like in the first one, like Telltale, I'm glad he was there because he and Telltale and Aaron and also Erica, she did great. She did fantastic in all those things. Especially the eating contest with the hot wings. My God, she was killing it up there, like cracking on Stephen Woodford. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Well,
by the second
Woodford's
one, I felt
kind of a pussy when it comes to that shit, but
well, he's British. They don't do spicy things over there,
That's right. Well, curry I think is about the spiciest they do.
Yeah, and curry's good. I like curry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, by the second one, I was definitely more confident about speaking. But got to meet a lot of interesting characters,
to say the least. Yes.
Yeah, we are, and also to plug Rocks 2 is something to look forward to. We're gonna have a big section on the flood, big section on YEC cosmology. We're gonna have a big section on like I said, like the Cambrian, dinosaurs, human evolution, because we really didn't touch human evolution much in the last one. So
no,
yeah, a lot of stuff, whole bunch of stuff, and of course, on my own channel right now, I'm doing this thing called the Ancestors' Tale series,
which is great, by the way.
Oh, you like it? Thank you.
Yes, I do. I was listening to a couple of them at work today.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, it's it's based on Richard Dawkins and Yan Wong's book, The Ancestor's Tale, and I made I had to make a sort of disclaimer at the very beginning, like not endorsing anything Dawkins says outside of this book. All right, let's get to the book.
He's off the fucking rails these days. I don't know what it is. What happened to the guy? I don't know.
Die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Yeah, and that's exactly what's happening to him.
The only one of the Sam Harris also kind of like touch and go sometimes. I haven't heard anything from like Dennett in a long time, even though I think he's still alive, but he's like ancient. I don't know how much he's still doing. I have one of his books. I haven't read it yet.
I have a couple of his books actually.
Yeah,
he's an interesting guy on audio. Anyway.
Oh yeah, no, he's like brilliant philosopher and neuroscience and all that sort of stuff. And I have his book Consciousness Explained, which is a very provocative title. That's probably why I picked it up. That's also like that thick.
But, it's a big one.
I mean, right now I'm reading The Shape of Life by Rudolf Raff, which is also about that thick. And it's like it's like a textbook, but it's really good. It's a very interesting book. It's evolutionary developmental biologies, and that's I was chatting about it with PZ.
Chapter 2, the flood. No. A very
basically
short chapter.
Yes. Was there a flood? No. Next.
No. Yeah. Sorry, carry on, man.
No, that's is creationism true? No, the whole book is just one page,
They're all blank.
It's like a list of the evidence for young Earth creationism. The whole book is blank.
It's like, are you familiar with the character Lobo from DC?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went for him as Halloween one time. Nobody knew who the fuck I was at the time. But they've got the Book of Wisdom by Lobo. and the whole thing's empty. It's just got him on the cover, and the whole thing's fucking empty. It's funny as shit. But
Oh my gosh.
yeah, I gave it to my buddy when he opened up his comic book shop. I had one last box of comic books. I'm like, do I really want to move these around all the time? No. Here you go, Dave.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I just gave them to him. I gave my nephew all the other ones.
Nice.
All my
There was
X-Men and TMNT.
a meme that was like, behind this door is, whatever, opens it, there's nothing there. And someone do that for like anti-vaxxers, like, all the research supporting the anti-vax position. There's nothing here.
Oh yeah, when it comes to the holidays, I'm going to have some words with my sister.
Oh,
Sure.
I don't even argue with any people about it, really. I've actually done a couple of videos. I did one on the coronavirus and like virus generally, and then I did a talk with a guy named Doc Savage. You familiar with him?
Yes.
Yep. So I had him on. I did prepared questions.
He's good.
And man's freaking brilliant. He's I told he was like child prodigy, which makes sense that he's ridiculously intelligent. It's very fun to talk to, very personable. He's got a very dry sense of humor, So,
don't sell yourself short, Jackson. When I'm around you, I feel pretty dumb. So
I never want other people to feel dumb.
Well, no, I know, but I know nobody intends that. But
unless they say like irreducible complexity is real, then they can feel dumb. I'm okay with that.
Oh yes, that's a good one.
I just have my music note coloring books over here, like la 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 la, harmonies, fifths and sevenths, la la la. Whatever floats your boat. Yeah, I have to just listen.
I mean, in all seriousness, though, when people do make those arguments, I do really sincerely try to dissuade them of these arguments, because I consider myself a science communicator, and I am involved in teaching a couple of classes, and so you don't want your students to ever feel like they're dumb, right?
Of course not.
And so I kind of carry the same thing to the internet. I don't want people to necessarily feel like they're an idiot, even if they kind of are. Right? When you interact with them.
Honestly, though, like it happens when I'm around Erica too, and I have a photo to fucking prove it. That when I'm around people that are like high level intelligence, this is what I turn into. Whoop, see, I turn into a total fucking mouth breather, right?
Oh, that's a good picture. I like it.
What the hell is that?
Yeah. I mean,
that's what I turned into. I froze Jackson. Oh no, there he is.
Oh, am I? Oh, sorry. The only people I want to feel dumb are the con men out there. The rest of the people getting swindled, I just want them to recognize that they are being swindled. I don't want them to necessarily feel like they're unintelligent or whatever, because it happens. Everyone's wrong about something or other. We all have,
of course,
uninformed opinions about something, and it's just a matter of helping them to look for the data, right? So,
what if your student is named
do we have to bring up that name?
It comes up at least once in every fucking show for some reason.
Oh man,
it almost took me out. I was eating a French fry.
I don't know if I've ever I don't think I've ever directly debated him, but he tried to set up a debate with me one time, and I don't know what happened. It just fell through.
Don't even waste your time,
but yeah, I've heard the other talks he's given. And I'm like, oh god, no. I mean, but I'll give anybody one.
Where's that hammer I was doing the China with? Because I want to hit myself with it.
I'll give anybody one shot with me, and then if I determine they're just not worth my time, then I just won't do it again. Heck, I've even done a conversation with Kent Hovind. Well, a couple of conversations with Kent Hovind.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, the first one was way back in 2017, not long after I started my channel, and then the second one was like a formal debate, and he like stroked out or something during that debate. It was weird.
Really?
Because yeah, he says,
I don't remember that.
and I quote, "We need one more brief stick, Nelson." Just in the middle of
So he
the
thought he was
debate.
talking to Aaron. Is that what?
I don't know. I don't know what he was doing, but he just says this, and I was, do you regret making the whale sex video? Not a second, because it's my highest watched video.
The internet
That
knows
was-
what it likes.
That was Paul Agia and Shannon Q requested that back on like New Year's 1 year, and they're laughing at like Ken Ham wandering through the empty Creation Museum talking about the posters, and Shannon's like, "Yep, not going to talk about whale sex," and Paul says, "I want Jackson to do a video about it," and I was like, "What?"
Oh man.
But I had I had a great time making it, and yeah, it's by far my most watched video. So yeah, it was
That's
a great
awesome.
video.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
And then I did some more videos on whale evolution later that weren't so much about sex, but
That's okay. It's always the sex ones that get all the attention, anyways, right? 'Cause-
I mean, if they're out there, a lot of people typed in whale sex, just
for whatever reason, you
For
fucking
whatever
perverts.
Are we? Is this a kink shaming show? Is that what we're doing?
No,
here
no,
today?
no,
We're just-
no.
Nope. Jump
I
in the
like-
killer whale tank for all I care.
Look, man, whatever makes you happy, whatever floats your boat, I guess. So.
yeah. Well, if you can believe it, guys, we've gone an hour. So we can talk more about this, I think, in the after party, but we're going to take a short break so we can refresh our drinks and grab a quick snack or a smoke if you're a smoker like my shameful ass is. But yeah, but that's what we're going to do, guys. We're going to jump into an after party right after this. So if you guys want to come in and say hello to Jackson, you're welcome to do so. If you got questions for him, I'm sure he'd be happy to answer whatever you'd like to throw his way. I hopefully will get Erica in if we can sex sales.
That's true. It certainly does. Yeah.
I know he typed it on accident. But I was like, oh, I have to expose him. Expose his typo.
Eddie. Sale. Sorry. It just came out of fucking nowhere, which is everything inside here. The nothing.
We're right. Oh, that was so scary.
Your cup is very funny. I like it. I like
It's
your
great.
cup.
Yeah.
It just disappears.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
You can get this. You can sponsor this cup. I'll put your bumper sticker on.
Oh, I
there.
can. Oh, nice.
It'll just disappear.
Well, no, if they put their sticker, it'll show up right there.
What if I make the sticker green?
That is a poor decision. Because I will take your money and put it on that green cup, and you're gonna be screwed.
So, yeah, Eddie, we got it, Eddie. We know. We're just bugging you. All right, so that's what we're gonna do, guys. Thank you, everyone out there in the chat on over on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Hope you guys enjoyed today's show. Also, thanks to my amazing patrons. You guys are the lifeblood of the show, so to speak. So I couldn't do this without you. So love to all of you. I think I lost a couple though recently.
Oh, well,
Do
people do what they want with their money,
Yep,
It is their money.
Yeah, they can do exactly. They can do what they want. Don't forget that Randolph and I are starting our own call-in show. Actually, a lot sooner than you think now because the studio is almost finished. So you can head over to truenorthtalk.ca if you want to learn more about the show, and then sub to the channel so you don't miss the day we actually do go live. And also myself and Mikey has been on the show before, and some other great hosts on the Revamped Relaunched Nonprofits, which is an ACA product that runs at 3 p.m. Central between Talk Heathen and the Atheist Experience. I'm sure you guys have heard of those shows, and you've probably heard of the other one. Anyways, also the last Saturday of every month, and I think we'll be kicking it in again at the end of December. Myself and Andy and Seamus do a little show called Atheists Drinking Out Loud, where we go for a couple hours with a guest and we poke fun at shit. It's basically all we do while we're having a few beers. It's a lot. Jeez, too many shawarmas. And we have a lot of fun though doing that show. But anyways,
I didn't expect you to say shawarma. I was just like,
Well,
What?
Pretty fucking random over here, most of it.
I thought you were drinking shawarmas for some reason. Like I just thought you were gonna say something about a beverage, and then it was
Liquid
shawarma.
shawarma.
He just
No,
pulverized it in the food
fresh
processor.
shaved fucking shawarma off the big
Oh.
thing over at the gas station. Yay, gas station shawarma.
It
Right
just
up there
keeps
with
getting
gas
worse.
station sushi.
Pulverized gas station sushi. There you
That's
go.
that's my new punk rock band name.
Gas station sushi?
Gas station pulverized shawarma.
Oh no.
Works for me. All right, everybody. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Sure enjoyed having you in the chat. And we will be back at about 6:30-ish for the after party. So head over to you'll see a link to it pop up on the screen after the credits roll. So there's also one in the description box as the little ticker tapey thingy there says. And until then, guys, like I always say after the interviews, like the late, great Christopher Hitchens once said, it's called faith because it's not knowledge. And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.